Babylon. Lagash, which had maintained its independence during the Gutian incursions, became dependent on Ur for a brief period during the city's revival in the late 3rd millennium BCE. The Third Dynasty of Ur ruled for little more than a century over a territory that was once more integrated and unified than before. The last king of this dynasty fell to foreign invaders, and the next 2 centuries witnessed a return to the traditional Mesopotamian political pattern, in which several independent city-states coexisted. One of these city-states, Babylon, managed to re-establish a centralized government and rule over the entire land under its most powerful king, Hammurabi. Hammurabi, who was perhaps the most renowned king in Mesopotamian history, owed his fame to codifying the chaotic, contradictory, and often unwritten laws of the Mesopotamian cities. Although Hammurabi was not the first person to attempt to bring order to a chaotic situation, he was the first to succeed. Reflections of his code of laws can also be found in the Law of Moses. Hammurabi's laws are beautifully carved onto a tall, irregular stele of black basalt. At its top, a relief depicts Hammurabi receiving the divine inspiration for the laws from Shamash, the flame-shouldered sun god. This event takes place atop a mountain, as indicated by the scale-like jagged forms beneath the sun god's feet. Shamash holds the traditional symbols of divine authority, the measuring rod and ring, and dictates the law to Hammurabi, who is depicted standing in a posture of respectful attention. Here once again, we encounter the Mesopotamian artist's talent for creating cylindrical forms. Shamash is shown in the familiar composite view, combining profile and frontal views, whereas Hammurabi, his servant, is depicted almost in profile. This encounter between God and man, as human self-awareness grew day by day and attributed human form to the gods in Babylon, reflects an increasingly humanized conception of natural and supernatural forces. Hammurabi's empire in Babylon was overthrown by the Hittites. After plundering Babylon around 1595 BCE, the Hittites returned to their seat of power in Anatolia, leaving Babylon vulnerable to the predatory Kassites. The Hittites, who spoke an Indo-European language, left behind an artistic legacy of extraordinary power and originality. Their fortified capital, located near the modern village of Boğazköy in Turkey, was protected by massive stone gateways set between 2 towers. Carved directly onto the gigantic blocks of stone, unlike the mud brick architecture of the Mesopotamians, are the fearsome, rugged, high-relief figures of 2 lions. Whatever the origin of placing predatory beast guardians may be, whether Mesopotamia, Syria, or Egypt, its realization among the Hittites possesses a distinct originality. The figure of the guardian lion is strictly subservient to the architecture and is by no means independent or presented as a fully 3-dimensional sculpture.